All right, in this section, the equation and graph of the basic linear function f of x are given. The equation of a transformed function g of x is also given. Describe the transformations performed on f of x to produce g of x and graph g of x. All right, so for number 7, we have f of x is equal to x. That's our basic function. And then we have g of x is equal to 3 times f of x. So remember, according to the last thing we just did, when you have something multiplied to our f of x equation, that is that means we're changing it by a factor of the number that we're multiplying. So we are changing f of x by a factor of 3. And we know this because we are multiplying f of x by 3. Okay, so what this means is we're stretching our graph to 3 times the original height. So to switch our graph, to graph this g of x equation, we're going to need to multiply all the old y values by 3. So for example, this first point, it's at -2, -2. We need to multiply the y value by 3. So what is -2 times 3? It should be -6. So we have moved it now down to -2, -6. Okay, I'm going to zoom in actually so you can see better. So when we are doing this, we are multiplying the old y value by 3. Let's do the same process over here. So for this point, we have -1, -1. So we're going to take the old y value and multiply it by 3. What is -1 times 3? You should get -3. So this is your new point. It's at -1, -3. All we did was change the y value to multiply it by 3. Next point is at 0, 0. So for 0, 0, you're going to take your old y value and multiply it by 3. Our old y value is 0. So 0 times 3 is still 0. So we have a point staying here. 0, 0 becomes 0, 0. Because 0 times anything is still 0. Let's do the next point. We have over here 1, 1. And so we're going to take our y value, which is 1, and multiply it by 3. So we should end up over here. 1 times 3 is 3. We should be left with 1, 3. And finally, let's do the last point. This is 2, 2. So you're going to take the y value and multiply it by 3. What is 2 times 3? It should be 6. So then you end up with a point all the way over here at 2, 6. So only thing we're changing is the y value. Now I'm going to connect all of these new points that we just made with a black line. There. So this new black line is our g of x function. So all we did was we took the old y value and we multiplied it by 3. So if you have any questions, please call me over. Other than that, we're going to go on to the next problem. Okay, so for number 8, it says f of x is equal to x and g of x is equal to f of x plus 4. So when you're not multiplying, but instead adding or subtracting, you're going to be moving up or down. Now, in our case, we have adding, so that means we're actually going to be moving up. Oops. Translate just means moving it up, down, left, right. Translate f of x up 4. How do I know it's up? Because it's adding 4. So we're moving up 4 because we added 4 to the end of f of x. So I'm going to take our old graph. I'm gonna zoom in. We're just gonna move it up 4. So here are original points, and I'm just gonna move them literally up 4 until they are right there. Up 4 boxes, every single one of them. All right, so for this one, we have moved up 4, and now I can just connect them all with a straight line. Oops. Oops. My bad. Okay, so I've connected them with a straight line, and here is our g of x function, and we can label it g of x. So all we did was we took the old points and we move it up 4, and that brings us to g of x. So now that we have finished all the example problems for this worksheet, we have the skills practice assignment. So we do part A from 11 to 12, and then part A 1 through 6, part B 1 through 6, part C 1 through 6, and part D 1 through 4. So starting over here. Oh, so for these, I know you can't see the instructions because they were on last time's work, but in case you guys don't remember, for these you have to do y-intercept, x-intercept, slope, domain, range. So for 11 and 12, these are the things you need to find from the graph. So it's a little bit of a review from the last class, but I just want to remind you what the instructions are because you can't see them. All right, and then for this part, this is just like the first few problems we did where we put the transformed graph down 7 units, graph it, put it on the t-table. Okay, same thing, same thing, same thing, same thing. And over here, you just have to do it with the equation. So translate it up 9 units, units down, down, up, down, up. You guys know how to do this from the examples. And then over here, we're now changing it by a factor. So remember, you're going to multiply it by 5. So take all your old y values and multiply it by 5. Okay, this one you're going to multiply by 6. This one you're going to multiply by 1/6. You guys can totally do this. If you need, you can turn it into a decimal. If that helps you out, just turn it into a decimal, okay? This one multiply by 1/2, multiply by 3, multiply by 3/4. Turn it into a decimal if you need to. And then for these, it's just describing the transformations and then graphing it, like the last examples we did, okay? So describe the transformations and graph it. All right, so that's it for this worksheet. So make sure you finish this and turn it in by the due date and call me over if you have any questions. Also remember, I do hold office hours, so you can always come to those as well.